Hello, bread machine lovers, bakers, homemakers. Welcome to Butterfly Meadows Homestead, where hearts are warmed and bodies are nourished. I'm Dorinda. In today's video, I am going to be showing you how to make this beautiful golden rosemary bread. It has rosemary, black pepper, garlic, and turmeric. It goes great with sandwiches or soups or just served with any meal. And the rosemary and the turmeric and the black pepper all make it so good for you because all of those herbs do great things for us. This bread, it is so good, and I feel like it is so good for you because of the spices that it has in it. I like to think of it as an anti-inflammatory bread. So let's go over the ingredients you're going to need to make this black pepper rosemary bread. I have here 1 1/3 cup of whole milk, and it is at room temperature. I have here 3 cups of bread flour, 1/4 of a cup of sugar. And if you want less sugar, you can definitely use less sugar. This is the amount of sugar I have found that we like in our bread. It gives it the taste that we like. I have here 1/4 of a cup of oil, 1/4 of a cup of applesauce. Then we have our 1 1/2 teaspoons of salt. This is pink Himalayan salt. I have here 2 1/4 teaspoons of yeast. Then we have our seasonings. So I have 2 tablespoons of rosemary leaves. I have 1 teaspoon of black pepper, 1 teaspoon of garlic, and 1/2 teaspoon of turmeric. So we're going to mix all of these things together. The first thing we want to do, we're using our bread machine, so we want to oil the stem and paddle of our machine. And I'll show you how to do this really easy. I take the paddle with the hole end and I dip it into my oil, and then I put it on my stem, and that oils both the hole and the stem in the bread pan. And that way I don't have any trouble with it sticking or getting it out. So now we're going to pour in our milk. We're going to go ahead and pour in these other ingredients. We're going to put in our sugar, our oil, our applesauce. This applesauce is an enrichment that just makes your bread so soft. The texture is so nice. You will love it if you start using that. We're going to go ahead and put in our salt. Yes, we're going to go ahead and put in our yeast because we are going to be making this right away. Now for our spices, we're going to wait just a minute on those. And I'm going to go ahead and put in my flour. Now we're going to pop this in to the machine. This is the KBS Bread Machine, so you set it down and then give it a little twist so that it's locked in, and lay the handle over to the side. So now that we have our pan in the machine, we are going to go down to menu option 11, and we're going to let this mix. What I do is I let it mix for 3 or 4 minutes, and then I will scrape down the sides and decide if I need to add more liquid or perhaps more flour. Now, I had a comment the other day. I don't think it was meant to be negative, but someone was talking about their older machine that they had, and they said they never had to scrape down the sides or fuss with it at all. They just put in the ingredients and then came back and got the bread when it was finished. And yes, you can do that, but this is a machine. It's not human, cannot think. And to get a better, more superior loaf of bread, I like to scrape down the sides, and I like to check on it to make sure that everything is going along good and that the texture is right. Because if we were making this by hand, that is what we would do. And so that's why I do that. So this is mixing along. I'm going to go ahead and scrape down the sides. I'm going to let that go for about 4 minutes and then we'll take another look. I just want to point out that, as you'll notice, this is a very wet dough. My experience, I have found that when I am using these spices, it works out a lot better if I have a wetter dough, because the rosemary leaves are dried and they're going to absorb moisture, and the other seasonings are dried and they're going to absorb moisture, and I don't want a really dry, crumbly bread. So I make this dough wetter than I would if I was not adding these spices. And that's just a good tip. Anytime you're adding a lot of dried spices to your bread, if you make your dough a little bit wetter, you'll end up with a better product in the end. So I like how this is looking, and I am going to actually let it finish the entire mixing cycle, because it is going to give this bread such a great texture. So we'll come back when it's time to move on to the next step. So the raw dough cycle has completed, and here is our dough ball. Just want to show you the texture. It's kind of sticky and really soft. Now I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to add our spices. So here is the turmeric and the rosemary, the black pepper, and the garlic. Now I'm going to choose menu option number 1 on the KBS, which is white bread, or soft bread, I think it calls it. And I'm going to choose the 2-pound loaf size. And for the color of this loaf, I'm going to go with medium, because this is a wetter dough, and so I'm not going to choose the light. And I am going to set the reserve, or the delay. I hit the button twice, so that's about 15-minute delay, to give this time to rest a little while before the mixing begins. And don't forget to hit start. Don't forget to hit the like button on this video so that YouTube will know you liked it and show it to more people. So it's time to get the bread out of the bread machine. And we have an absolutely beautiful loaf of golden rosemary black pepper bread. And I always shake the pan to make sure it's not stuck. If your bread is sticking to your pan at all, just let it set in the pan for a few minutes and then it should come right out. And so this seems to be sticking a little bit on the bottom, so I'm just going to cover it up here and let it sit for like 2 minutes, and then I'll take it out. So we gave the bread a couple of minutes to sit in the pan so that it would release, and now we are ready to take it out. That always works for me. Oh, this bread is a beautiful color. I can't wait to cut into it and show you what it looks like on the inside. But we have a beautiful, beautiful loaf of golden rosemary black pepper bread. Now, I'm going to sit it here on this cooling rack, cover it with a little cotton towel, and let it cool completely, and then we will slice into it. It's my favorite time. Time to slice into the bread and see this beautiful golden crumb. Look at this. Is that not absolutely beautiful? See, the turmeric turns it that golden yellow color. It is so soft and so good. And we're going to tear us off a piece here. Put a little butter on it. That is so good. I could eat the whole slice right now, but I'm not going to yet. But this bread, and just see the texture. I like to tear it to show you guys the texture. See how soft that texture is. It's beautiful, and it's delicious. So see how soft? It's just a beautiful loaf of bread. So this is rosemary, black pepper, turmeric bread with garlic. I call it the rosemary golden loaf. It's beautiful. God bless. Bye-bye.